I am a priest and a pastor, and at the same time, the director of Caritas Bamenda. I would have preferred to be back home providing the badly needed humanitarian assistance to my affected, hungry, starving, stressed, and traumatized people. I am not a politician, but I'm here because of the lives of about 4 million people who are affected by this crisis. Within the context of the ongoing socio-political crisis, ever since it degenerated into an armed conflict in 2017 till date, things are only getting worse. The escalation began in the Anglophone regions in September 2017, when Cameroon security forces used live ammunition on peaceful protesters in protest marches. There have recently been disappearances, and even up to a few days ago, when I flew from Cameroon, corpses have been found in various places in Bamenda. Within the last 10 months, several thousands of civilians have been killed. The disappearance and death of young males is no longer news, and some of those who have been killed are persons with disability or special needs or the aged who cannot run away to safety. For want of time and sparing this noble house the embarrassment of the saddening situation we live in the Anglophone regions, I have left out the details of the recorded murders perpetrated either by the armed separatist groups, otherwise known as the Amber Boys, or the Cameroonian military, which acts as an instrument of terror to the local people. Corpses continue to be discovered here and there. It is hard to know the number of security forces or pro-independent fighters that might have been killed. What is certain is the fact that is on an increase. Madam President, many buildings, including living homes, business centers, hospitals, private and public property, have been burned down in various localities in the English-speaking regions within the last 24 months. The belligerent parties have not claimed or accepted responsibility for these burnings. Yet, the figures are quite alarming. It is as indicated in these few statistics. In Bui Division alone, more than 1,500 houses have been razed down by flames, and the figures are on the increase. In Menchum Division, over 1,350 homes have been burnt down. In Momo Division, 2,000 plus homes and businesses razed to ashes. In Boyo, over 400 houses and at least 6 hospitals have been affected partly or completely by fires. The recent case being that of the district hospital of Kumba. These figures are not exhaustive, Madam President, and I am afraid they are on the rise. And it is logical, for the more homes are burned, the more people are displaced, the greater the humanitarian need. These needs are as of now underfunded. As of the 4 million people affected, below 10% receive humanitarian assistance from the international humanitarian organizations. Few international actors are on the field, IRCs in the Southwest region providing paper vouchers for IDPs. CRS is in collaboration with Caritas Bamenda, is in the Northwest region providing e-vouchers for IDPs. Plan International and the Norwegian Missionary Society are worth mentioning here for their relentless effort. There are several others, for want of time I didn't mention. I do understand that access is a problem for the international NGOs, why they are dragging their feet, but the local partners do have a way to navigate to the targeted population, though not all the time. Madam President, as for access, the pro-independent fighters have made the region ungovernable. They have kept the roads impassable and grounded economic activities and the education sector, as well as the social life across the English regions, are also stagnant. There has been repeated reports of abductions by the same or other armed groups, and in some cases, reports of torture and demands for ransom. These abductions include 11 male students who were abducted on the Wednesday, the 31st of October, 2018. And a few days later, on the 4th of November, the same year, 2018, 78 students and 3 staff members of the same institution, the Presbyterian Secondary School in Nkwen, were equally abducted. The disquieting saga of St. Augustine's College, in which 176 members of the Catholic institution were abducted on the 16th of February 2018. Of this number, 170 students were generally below the age of 18. 3 of our priests who tried to follow the trail of the abductees were also caught and detained by the same group, and all were only released a day later. These incidents forced the institutions to close down, including a minor seminary and other schools in the locality. The enrollment in our Catholic schools for the last academic years has dropped to less than 20% as the crisis escalated. This indicates an estimate of the number of children who are likely out of school now, except those who have moved and are enrolled in other regions. In the nursery and primary schools, it stands at 55,000. In the secondary and high schools, it stands at 25,000 in these 2 English-speaking regions. Madam President, the health sector has been greatly affected. The St. Martin de Porres Catholic Mission Hospital in Njokikang, the Bingo Baptist Hospital in Boyo Division are greatly touched. Also, the St. Elizabeth General Hospital and Cardiac Center, the only cardiac center in West and Central of Africa, as well as the Banso Baptist Hospital, are not left out in this malaise. And a few others have been hit. Several people are said to have died at home who might have survived if they had access to health facilities. It is hard to imagine how many lives are being lost for the simple reason that patients are not able to move freely. The hospitals have had a tough time getting medications and or other hospital provisions. Patients that are referred to from these hospitals or to these hospitals often get stuck due to blockages and crossfires. Those from around the area who might manage to find motorbikes to transport them pay huge sums of money to get to the health facilities. They end up not having money to pay for their medication. Health workers have been victims of this crisis. 3 nurses have already been shot dead on their way to or from work, dressed in uniforms. Several have been attacked and wounded, even in the hospitals, where they render service to the nation. The military have got into health facilities with firearms, supposedly searching for anyone suspected to be a pro-independence fighter undergoing treatment. The World Health Organization, Doctors Without Borders, Médecins du Monde, and others have been of invaluable help to the population in providing free health assistance. Madam President, a military solution has never been an option in any conflict resolution in the world. Dialogue is the solution. But who are those going to sit on the table? It's a question. I strongly appeal for the UN to get the protagonists to immediately stop the bloodshed and the killing of innocent civilians and call for a ceasefire. There is an urgent need of a neutral body to mediate and facilitate the dialogue in order to put an end to this humanitarian disaster. I appeal for the UN to equally scale up humanitarian assistance and force the Cameroonian government to demilitarize the Anglophone regions, because with a military presence, the future is bleak and the end to the crisis is far from being a reality. In addition to the activities of the government forces and the pro-independent fighters, there is a possibility that a few individuals might be using the situation to make money for themselves. This is the economy of war, which you are much aware of. Because of these, the killings, the looting, the burning, the rape, the random gun battles, shortage of food and other provisions, abductions, torture, growing hate, lack of trust, suspicion, and difficulty in burying the dead and even giving them a dignified burial, and many threats. Thousands of persons have been displaced within the 2 regions, and many others have fled to other places of the regions for safety. I received the very first set of displaced persons. There were 25 in number. They had been attacked, their homes burned, and a lady among them, her husband was shot point blank in front of her, and a military person used his own motorbike and poured gasoline on him and lit fire and had this man burned right in front of the wife. The wife was badly beaten with the machete, her hands wounded with the cutlass. She was beaten on her buttocks with a little baby of 2 years and another one that we're still holding, which was 5 years old. These came to my office. When they shared their experience, I wept at what was going on. Madam President, according to OCHA highlights on the site rep, 4 million people are affected in this. And in this number, 1.4 million are in need. 820,000 people are targeted. 530 are internally displaced persons. 376 are people in need of host communities. And of this number, 330,000 are people in great need. Therefore, as aforementioned, the UN and other international organizations should scale up the humanitarian activities in Cameroon to meet up with the high demands. Madam President, the people of the English-speaking regions in Cameroon are primarily agrarian, with houses burned and seeds lost. And adding to that, the farming season of 2018 was irregular due to the crisis. And so has been this season which just began. And only an estimate of 20% of the population have planted in that area, and which is an area which largely depends on agriculture. Food insecurity, therefore, malnutrition, and associated health challenges are imminent in the near future. I insist, Madam President, that the UN has to scale up its humanitarian operations in these regions, or more lives will be lost. Madam President, our people of these two English regions are suffering a lot. I bear witness to this. I meet them on a daily basis. We are in pain. We are traumatized. We are sandwiched between the Amber Boys and the government security forces. Fear is the order of the day. One cannot talk freely. I speak out the truth because it's a noble thing to do. It is doing a service to my country, even if it means I will be hated and killed. It is better to die with dignity for having told the truth than to live with shame for covering up. Many people live in a state of perpetual uncertainty and fear, not knowing what awaits them. Madam President, the UN can and should take actions to end this senseless bloodshed. There is an urgency to make a roadmap and engage both parties. Look at the root causes and drop the cosmetic solutions. Thank you for your kind attention, and God bless you all.
Thank you, Father, for your serious account as well, and the impact, especially on schools and hospitals, due to the humanitarian crisis. Jan, I hope you have been able to hear the conversation so far. And following your trip to Cameroon, what would you like the UN Security Council to know about what you saw? Over to you, please.
Thank you very much, Madam President. I want to thank the Security Council for this opportunity to speak about the massive humanitarian suffering I witnessed when I visited Cameroon 3 weeks ago. But let me start by commending and endorsing the strong statements from our two Cameroonian colleagues and from Mark Lowcock. So I traveled to the southwest province of Cameroon